Hey, good morning. Me and my crooked glasses are here to give a little report. This work is so profound, and on it's really like in the awakening journey. If we're on the journey of truth, which I think people who watch me are, we get to this point. I think it's pretty common to get to this point where the suffering is so intense and it's so unbearable that we're willing to finally feel our feelings and do the work and do the deeper repression work. And so, yeah, these Kilobi inquiry tools have come in to really assist me to face everything. And there's a lot, and I've done a lot of work up until this point, but there's still so much frozen fear and anger, and the anger is a big piece of it. So just here I am making another report. Like I wrote again after the session this morning. Yesterday there's a lot of this going on of watching myself like have this low level anxiety and this discomfort, but not fully knowing how to sit down and face it. So just avoiding it, being like on the phone, whatever, doing whatever else besides sitting down and feeling it. But this morning, woke up, feel crappy, and then, okay, sit down, go back to the room, sit down, shut the door, and dive in with this technique I use. Now, I just want to warn people, like, going into repression work is really, it can bring up a lot, so it's not good to do it until you know you're ready. Or you have a practitioner that can guide you, or you have a daily practice. That's my discovery in hindsight, bringing up the anger like many months ago and then not having a daily practice actually, I think, made my symptoms worse. And it made the suffering worse. So in case anybody gets into this work and dives into repression and digs up the repressed emotions, yeah, it's really good to like know that it's not just a few sessions. It's like this is a whole bunch of repressed energy in the body that needs to be worked with on a regular basis. Otherwise, the symptoms are going to get worse. The suffering's going to get worse. The feelings of I'm not going to make it, like I've been having, I'm going to die, are going to come up, and it's a lot. So, but these tools are helping me really hold the space. And I went in this morning, tiredness in the body, and agitation in the body. Asked, what is this about? Feeling like I'm broken, feeling like I can't be fixed. Pulling up my parents in my mind's eye and saying to them, saying out loud, like, oh, I'm perfect just the way I am. Yeah, I don't need to be fixed. And, feeling the no in the body, no, that's not true. And then being like, I'm not angry. This is called reverse inquiry. I'm not angry that they made me feel broken. And then the answer is no, I am angry about that. It's like a feeling in the body that's not a true statement. And then going into like I'm angry, just repeating it. And in the beginning it doesn't feel true, but as I just allow I'm angry, I can feel that it's true and that the contraction in the body is like responding to just saying it. I'm angry. And then after a little bit, the intensity just gets bigger and I'm screaming and yelling and feeling angry at God. And then this morning, what came up is like a flashback to being in the crib all alone in the dark and having nobody there, nobody come, and feeling the anger at that. And then also like going into the fear, like, I'm not afraid to be all alone. Oh yeah, the stomach, fear, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. Hell yeah, that was scary. That was terrifying to the infant. It's the existential aloneness that's really driving like the whole avoidance of this moment, is that fear. That fear of like, I'm all alone, nobody's coming. And so just felt into that fear, and then more anger. And, later on in life, like, I remembered being, I don't know, it was like all through my childhood, just alone in my room in the dark and feeling like somebody was watching me. I don't know what that's about, but I think that was just my own awareness, the self watching me, but feeling like, what's this feeling? And then how I managed my fear and my discomfort and feeling all alone and having nobody to talk to was I masturbated with a blankie. That was like my pacifier. It's like the only thing that made me feel good was orgasming and having my blankie and humping my blankie and sleeping. Yeah. So fell into a lot of that anger at just being all alone. Like, what the fuck, God? I just feel so alone. You abandoned me. And then, of course, parents abandoned me, and just allowing all those feelings. So good. And there's more. But I feel like proud of myself, like I'm feeling more equipped and feeling like the results of just like the after, before and after I do this work, like now there's inspiration to share and insights, and it's good. But yeah, there's a lot in there. There's a lot in these bodies that have just been frozen. I'm going to link below. I watched a Gabor Mate video on trauma and brain development, and it just, it clicked. Like, coming in to this life, my parents experienced a traumatic event. Their first child died at 3 years old. He burned. He burned in a fire. A little 3-year-old boy, their first child, and he was in a coma for a month with third-degree burns all over him. And then he ended up dying by the nurse taking his tracheotomy tube out and trying to change it, and she put it down the wrong tube, and that killed him. I mean, that tragedy happened to my parents. I was conceived 6 months later. So I was like absorbing all this grief and probably blaming it on myself, because one of the things Gabor Mates reminded us of is the infant, as when we're babies, it's all about us. He says we're totally narcissist as babies. And so everything in our environment going on, we make it about us. And that affects our brain development. So I come into all this grief and sadness. And then, my parents like didn't know how to process it fully. So they were repressing it and just in survival mode. So then, my outlook on life became, wow, everything's tragic, everything's sad, like despair, hopelessness. It kind of makes sense, right? Yeah. Anyway, so just wanted to report this little bit and this discovery in my process. There's a lot to work with, and bless us. Bless us. If we're alive today, we carry a lot of trauma. And I hope I can inspire people and hopefully hold space for people someday. But yeah, it takes a lot to do the repression work. But yeah, we get to a point where we're like, I cannot handle this suffering anymore. And this is like giving me life force back. There's an immediate there's an immediate reward of a little bit more energy after I do a session. And it was like 15 minutes of release. Yeah. Okay, I think that's it. Lots of love to you on your journey. I'd love to hear your thoughts and discoveries, any books you've read on trauma. I'm starting to get more curious and wanting to learn more about my own mechanisms and brain development and situation and what's gotten me to this point. So I'd love to hear what you've discovered about your trauma and chronic illness or whatever you want to share that is inspired by my sharing. And yeah, I'm wanting to connect more too. So say hello. And yeah, that's my report. Thanks for the encouragement also to share. Okay, goodbye.